Steady Body is good, Grimmchild is bad, and the Silksong cake was a lie. My name is HASKILL, and today we're going to be ranking every Hollow Knight Charm's combat capabilities from S to F tier. Wow, it's been a minute since I said that. Some quick disclaimers for this ranking. This is a combat ranking, assuming you have all charms and want to go fight bosses or clear pantheons. So we're kind of talking endgame here, but if a charm is good in endgame, it's usually good throughout your playthrough as well. So if you want to use this for advice through your playthrough, go for it. Some charms are great for exploration, but this is not an exploration ranking. So if your favorite is really good to explore Hollownest with, but you're like, why is it so low? That's why. And just because a charm is ranked low doesn't mean you can't use that charm successfully. People even do Pantheon 5 all bindings hitless nowadays anyways. So it doesn't really matter what charms you like to use, and this is all just for fun. And lastly, at the end of the day, these are all just my opinion with my own personal experience with Hollow Knight. We all have different experiences and playstyles with this game, and that's part of the fun of making lists like this. Charms that I rank highly might not be someone else's favorite, and someone else's favorite might be one that I rank a little low, and they'll leave me a comment explaining why they like it so much. And I'm open to that discussion, so please let me know what I got wrong or right in the comments. But anyways, let's get started. I've got some notes written on my phone from those shorts I worked on, so if you see me referencing anything, that's what I'll be looking at, mostly just to remind myself any special effects or notch amounts on the charms that I use a little less, things like that, or points I just don't want to miss. We're going to be going in the order that I rank these in my short series. First up, we have Grubsong. This is a one-notch charm. This charm is very versatile. Because it's only one notch, you could slap it onto any build. While equipped, taking damage will generate 15 of the 33 soul necessary in order to heal yourself or cast a spell. In comparison, a regular nail hit on its own with no other charm boost only generates 11 soul, so it's a big amount of soul. This ensures that you more regularly have enough soul to heal yourself or just cast spells. This is a good defensive tool as well as offensive tool at the same time. You're not really going to get use out of it in a Radiant fight where you can't get hit at all, so it's not good for Radiant, I'd say. It does have some synergies with Grubberfly's Elegy. Where are you? Here you are, Grubberfly. As well as with Weaversong. As with Grubberfly, it generates even more soul. You know, nothing crazy there. But with Weaversong, every time the Weaverlings hit something, you generate a bunch of soul. So it's a really good soul battery for that combo. I think this is a low S tier or high A tier. I'm going to leave it in high A tier for now, just because it does nothing for Radiant fights. Next up, we've got Glowing Womb, which is a very interesting two-notch charm. The effect of Glowing Womb is that while you have it on, your soul meter is continuously drained to spawn little hatchlings that will fly out, seek enemies, and deal damage on contact. Personally, I think the damage on this one is just way too low, and it's continuously draining your soul, so you don't usually have a lot left over for spellcasting or healing, unless you're building around this charm, which I wouldn't do because it's Glowing Womb. But if you're building around this charm, you've got something like Soul Eater, or you've got that Weaversong Grubsong combo to keep your soul topped off and keep spawning these things, you know, you could do that. But other than that, you're not leaving yourself a lot of soul to heal or cast spells, and the damage is 9 per hit. It's pretty pitiful. This is like high F tier, low D tier. I think we're going to go with low D tier for now. It does have a synergy with Defender's Crest, but I actually think that synergy makes it worse because it lowers the burst contact damage and instead leaves like an AoE cloud, but enemies move around a lot in this game. You're not going to get the full damage from the cloud. It's better to just get the burst damage. So, you know, pairing it with something actually makes it weaker in my opinion. Again, high F tier, maybe low D tier. Joni's Blessing. This is a 4-notch charm. This one takes all of the masks that you have and converts them all into Lifeblood in exchange for giving you 40% bonus masks in total. So at the maximum base health amount of 9, you will wind up with 13 masks, but unfortunately with this thing on, you will not be able to heal those masks. Personally, I'd rather have masks that I can sustain over time with a heal here and there. I don't really see the appeal of just having a bunch of masks that I can't heal. Although I did get a lot of comments that a lot of spellcasters like to use this one. I'm assuming for like Hall of Gods, not for Pantheons, because it lets them just focus on casting spells and not healing themselves and get through the fight much quicker. Regardless though, I think this is maybe D tier at best. I guess C if you're just using it in Hall of Gods for a spellcaster build, maybe even B in that case, but I think overall for Pantheons, this is a D. Next up, we have Lifeblood Heart, which is a 2-notch charm that grants the player 2 extra Lifeblood masks on top of their regular masks whenever they sit at a bench. Again, the problem with Lifeblood is they don't last. This charm is essentially just a worse version of the health charms, Fragile and Unbreakable Health, because these give you, health gives you permanent masks that you can heal, and the Lifeblood ones are one and done, so it's really not worth it for me. I would never use this over health, except for like, the only time you're going to use this is like early game when you don't have any better charms. But it is a lot cheaper than Joni's Blessing. Joni's Blessing was 4 whole notches, which there's a lot of notches to commit, which is another reason why I rank it so low. Lifeblood Heart is only 2 notches. I'm going to put it C tier, I guess, but you're never going to use it over the health charm. And to round out our Lifeblood charms, we have Lifeblood Core, which is a 3-notch charm that grants you 4 Lifeblood masks. That is a better notch to mask ratio than what either of these two are doing. These are 4 notches. This one is 4 notches for 4 masks. This one is 2 notches for 2 masks. This one is 3 notches for 4 masks. This is definitely the best of the Lifeblood charms, but it's still not that great. I mean, I guess it's fine, but I would prefer the healable ones, which we'll get to in a second. I think it's best fit for, like I said, those spell builds where you just want to save your soul for blasting off spells and not healing. I think this is going to wind up being a high C tier, whereas this one winds up being a low C tier. Okay, we've teased it enough. Fragile and Unbreakable Heart. 2 notches, you get 2 extra masks, and you can heal them. So instead of having 9 masks, you're going to have 11 total masks. That's 2 extra hits you can take, or 1 extra hit from those bosses that deal 2 damage at a time. 1 extra hit from those guys can make or break a run. If you are combining this with safe healing windows, you're going to live a lot longer. I think this is a really good one. I think this is a solid A tier. And if you're dying in the Hall of Gods or the Pantheons, whatever, it's not going to break. So for all the breaking ones, for all the fragile ones, please don't bring up that they could break. And also, I don't think the fragile ones breaking is necessarily a weakness of the charm. Having to go repair it, I don't think makes it less fit for combat. That's more of like an exploration and currency issue than a combat issue. So I don't know. It's an A tier. It's solid. Super good. Sprintmaster. This is a 1-notch charm. While equipped, the knight will move. His base walking speed will be increased by 20%. That's great for exploration, but not so great for combat. You know, Hollow Knight, you're moving around a lot. You're jumping, you're dashing, you're downspelling. You're doing a lot of movement in the air in this game. You don't spend a lot of time just walking. If you are on the ground, you're probably going to be dashing. Some people have left me comments saying that they like it to dodge something and not fully commit to a dash, like to save their dash essentially. So I guess that's something going for it. It's not too crazy though. It's only 1 notch, so it's not like it's expensive to slap on a build. It does also have a nice synergy with Weaversong though, that while this charm is equipped, while Sprintmaster is equipped, the Weaverlings will be a lot more aggressive. So that's a nice synergy going for, I mean, it's buffing Weaversong more than it's doing anything for Sprintmaster. That is still something to consider. I think this one might be low C tier, high D tier. I guess I would put it above Lifeblood Heart. Weaversong is next up. It's a 2-notch charm that spawns in 3 Weaverlings that jump around and deal 3 damage per hit. The damage is pitiful. The only reason you're really using this, if you're exploring Hollowness, it's because you're lonely. If it's for boss fights, it's probably because you've got Grubsong on. And you want to generate a ton of soul, because while Grubsong and Weaversong are equipped together, every hit the Weaverlings do will generate 3 additional soul, which is a ton of soul. You're going to have a ton of soul for spell casting, for healing yourself. That's the best thing Weaversong has to offer. Without that synergy, this is probably a D tier charm, but with the synergy of Grubsong, I would say this is either a high C tier or low B tier charm. Next up, we've got Longnail. This is a 2-notch charm that increases the range of your regular nail swings by 15%. Has no effect on your nail arts or anything like that. Just the base nail swing. It's not expensive. It's only 2 notches, but the 15% boost is minuscule. You will hardly notice it. It is pixels at best. This is just kind of a run-of-the-mill okay charm. You could equip it, if you want to be silly, you could equip Longnail and Market Pride at the same time to get a 40% range boost on your nail, but then you're 5 notches deep into a combo that's just kind of silly. This charm won't ever hurt you to put on, so I don't think it's as bad as a D or an F tier. I think we're going to leave it in C tier though. We'll adjust these as we go as well, like when we get to the end and things are more laid out, we'll switch these around a little bit. Okay, next up, Mark of Pride. I had this in S tier in my shorts. It's a 3-notch charm. It increases the range of your nail swings by 25%. I also misspoke in my shorts, and I want to apologize. I said that this had an impact on the beams for Grubberfly's Elegy as well as your nail arts. It does neither of those things. It's just your base nail swing. It does have a synergy with Grubberfly's Elegy to make the beam taller, but that doesn't really do anything at all. So it might as well not have a synergy with that. The range boost on this one, 25%, the way that percents work, it feels way more significant than the boost you get from Longnail. Putting this on means you can hit foes from a safer distance. You're less likely to get hit yourself if you're playing at the edge of your nail. You can chase foes that are running away and very evasive. You can keep up with them better. And it's just a great spacing tool to keep your pogo safe, everything like that. It just lets you play more safely, reliably, and consistently with this on. A lot of people do call this one a crutch though. I put it in S tier, but I think I've since seen the light since clearing Pantheon 5. I think this is a high A tier. It's an amazing charm, but you do not need it for those endgame fights. I think the best builds are better off without Mark of Pride, and it's an extremely high A tier. I almost want to put it in low S tier. It's super good, so good, but I'm gonna leave it there. Next up, we've got Grimmchild, everyone's favorite buddy for going around Hollownest. I'm sorry, Grimmchild, you are not very good. You are a 2-notch charm that will occasionally spit out an 11 damage fireball if it happens to connect. In my shorts, I said that its accuracy was terrible, but since then, he's been hitting a lot of shots for me. He's pretty accurate. 11 damage is pretty pitiful though, and the main downside of putting this guy on is that sometimes he will wake up bosses when they are staggered while you're trying to heal, and that's definitely not ideal. And then when they're not staggered, he always has a chance to miss, so you're not consistently getting the 11 damage peppered in. You might even just be missing sometimes, so he's pretty unreliable. I think he's a D tier. I'm sorry, Grimmchild. We have Hiveblood up next. This is a 4-notch charm that over time heals the player as long as they don't take damage. The amount of time you have to go without taking damage is 10 seconds, and it will heal the mask without spending any soul, but it can only heal the most recent mask that you lost. So for example, if you lose 2 masks, it's only going to heal that second to last mask up. It's not going to heal the first mask as well. This is an expensive charm. 4 notches is a lot, and 10 seconds is a long time in Hollow Knight to be dodging. I think new players won't find much success with this one. Really experienced players could probably get a lot of value out of this, but really experienced players probably won't even need those passive heals because they'll know when the safe healing windows are. So I just think it's too expensive, and you don't really need it by the time you've got the game figured out. This is a great one for exploration. Everyone brings up White Palace and things like that, but this is not an exploration ranking. I think I have to throw this one in C tier. Next up, we have Baldur Shell, which is a 2-notch charm, and every time the knight rests at a bench, they will kind of generate a shell, a protective shell, that will protect them from 4 instances of damage while they're focusing soul to heal. So if you're healing up, a shell will appear around the knight, and if that shell is hit, you will not take damage. Instead, your heal will be interrupted, your invincibility frames will activate, and no damage. Just the shell takes damage. It takes 4 hits, and then you have to recharge it at a bench. I used to think this was a beginner charm, just teaching you when and where to heal, like when is it safe to heal. And it does do that, but it also has its uses in Radiant fights from what I hear. People like to bring this one to get out of sticky situations, so if you're kind of in the corner, if you're in the corner and there's just an attack pattern that you don't think you can get out of, you can Baldur Shell. The Baldur Shell will eat the hit, you won't lose the Radiant fight, and you can use the invincibility frames to get somewhere more safe. So because it has that niche, I think this is at least a B tier. I had it in C tier, but because of that niche, this is at least a B tier charm. I'm gonna put it like that for now. Next up is Shape of Un. This is a 2-notch charm. Is it Un or Un? I don't know. This is a 2-notch charm that while healing, the knight will transform into a little slug creature and move along the ground as they heal. It lets you move while you heal, which is the main thing that I like about it. Situationally, this charm is pretty great. It can enable new healing windows that weren't there before on certain bosses. For example, Nightmare King Grimm, you can heal during his Flame Pillars attack. You can also heal under his bats with this thing, so that's really fun. But if you just know where the healing windows are, you won't really need those extra healing windows. If you already know where the safe ones are, every boss has a safe space where you can heal, and you don't always need it. So I think this is good for beginners, or if you just want to be cheeky or funny. I think it's really fun. It's got some synergies, but they don't really do much for it. Quick Focus does make you faster while you heal, but the knight feels like so slippery and uncontrollable for me. Whenever I use that synergy, I feel like I crash into stuff more than I would without it. So That synergy's there, but I don't like it. If you like it, good on you. I think Shape of Wound on its own is pretty solid. It's a fun charm you can justify bringing to trivialize certain bosses. It's definitely not a necessity once you get the hang of things. I say it's a solid B tier. Okay, we touched on it briefly. Quick Focus. This is a 3-notch charm that increases the rate at which the knight focuses soul to heal by 33%. Some windows in fights that were not safe enough to heal, suddenly you are now able to heal through them. Some heal windows where it was safe to heal 1 mask, now you can heal 2 masks. So this just can really increase your survivability a bunch. This used to be one of my favorite charms. This is a really good charm, so the double heals or the new healing windows that this charm opens up just really increases your survivability, your ability to get through fights, your ability to get through pantheons. You just need to make sure you have enough soul to pull off those heals, so things like Grubsong or other charm generation ones like Quick Slash are good to pair alongside it, so you have enough soul for stuff like that. But again, I keep touching on this. Once you've got enough experience, I think maybe you could consider this one a crutch, unless you're just doing like a heal focus build, like Quick Focus, Spore Shroom, and just your build is based around heals. If you're just slapping this on to help you survive, and your build is not based around healing, I think this is a bit of a crutch, kind of similar to Mark of Pride, where once you get enough experience, you don't need it anymore. It's a really solid charm. I'm going to throw it in A tier, and I think I'm going to move this one like this, but it's a really good charm. Oh boy, next up we have Deep Focus. I have beef with this charm. No, I mean, it's a 4-notch charm. It lets you heal 2 masks at once for the same amount of soul, but it takes 65% longer to finish the heal, which means some places that were safe to heal are no longer safe to heal. It saves your soul, that's something, but if I'm spending 4 notches, I'm going 4 notches deep on this charm. And it nerfs how long I heal. I already spent the opportunity cost of the notches to put this on. Then I have to spend the cost of my heals being slower. It doesn't feel worth it to me. You can put on Quick Focus alongside this to offset the slowdown for the most part, but then you're like 7 notches deep in this combo just to save a little soul on healing. It's really not worth it. This is a bad charm, guys. It's good for exploration. You know, White Palace, stuff like that. You're going to save your soul. You're going to get through the platforming sections better. But for combat, this thing sucks. Another not so great charm, Dream Shield, is up next. This is a 3-notch charm that causes a little shield to spin around the knight. And it blocks some projectiles, not all projectiles. Once a projectile is blocked, the Dream Shield will go on cooldown and won't be able to block anything. The cooldown is 2 seconds, which could be a big deal in a hectic, fast-paced boss fight. And you don't get to control when and where the shield goes. It has a set path that it follows and a set speed, except for I think when you're healing it speeds up. But other than that, it goes on a set path at a set speed. So you don't get to control, I want to put it here to block this one or anything like that. It's really random and unreliable, especially for 3 notches. I think this should be a 1-notch charm, to be honest. You can also, when you swing your nail while this is on, the shield will bash outward a little bit to hit enemies. I forget how much damage it does, but it's not that great, guys. It's too expensive. It should be 1 notch, but you just can't rely on it. Just from how it moves on its own, and it goes on cooldown a lot, and it doesn't block all projectiles. I put it in D tier in my short. Some people said I should have put it in F tier and I was giving it too much credit, but honestly, I think D tier is fair. I'm gonna put this guy here for now. I'm sorry, Glowing Womb fans. Next up, we have Dream Wielder, which is a 1-notch charm. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first started playing Hollow Knight, I did not like using the Dream Nail in combat. It was slow, it was clunky, and I had to commit to this long wind-up animation, and by the time I finished it, the enemy wasn't even there anymore, or I got smacked before I could even finish it. Well, worry no more, because Dream Wielder is the charm for you. At the low cost of 1 charm notch, you'll be significantly increasing the animation speed of the Dream Nail swing, as well as doubling the amount of soul that you get from hitting an enemy with the Dream Nail. So this is a fantastic soul generation charm. I hope I said soul earlier. I feel like I didn't. I just got off work and my brain is absolutely fried. For 1 notch, your Dream Nail is now incredibly useful. Comes out incredibly fast. It's way safer to use. There's some boss fights where this is incredibly clutch. This is an easy A tier that you can slap on a high amount of builds due to how cheap it is. Let's go gambling. Carefree Melody is a 3-notch charm that's up next. What this charm does is, while equipped, it has a varying percentage chance to negate a hit when you take it. So your character will physically take the hit, invincibility frames will pop, and any other after hit effects will pop. But your mask will not go down. Your mask will be preserved. The way that it works is the percentage chance to get a free hit starts at 10%, And every time you take a hit without the charm activating, the percent will increase. It'll go 10, 20, 30, all the way up to a 90% activation chance. On average, this charm will activate 22.46% of the hits that you take, meaning that you'll survive a little bit longer whenever you have this on, unless you're just really unlucky and it never activates. That's my main problem with charms like this. It's RNG based, so if you're really lucky, this thing's going to be activating essentially every other hit. I'm sorry, the initial percentage is 0%, and once you get hit, it goes up to 10. So it starts at 0 and then it goes to 90. So once you get a successful free hit, it goes back to 0. So essentially, it could activate every other hit if you're really lucky and you keep hitting that. The 10% odds activated, and then it goes back to 0, you get hit. Now it's at 10% again, free hit. If you're really lucky, you could keep hitting that 10%. But if you're really unlucky, you could go dozens of hits before this thing activates because it never goes to 100% chance for a free hit. A lot of people tell me this should be like high A tier. But if you're unlucky, it's like C, D tier. Like, it's just not activating enough. I think I'll balance it out. It's really good when it does what it's supposed to. I think I'll put it in high B tier. I'm sorry, I have beef with RNG stuff. I played too much Pokemon. It's high B or high A if you have average or above average luck. This one is Stalwart Shell, a 2-notch charm that increases the amount of invincibility frames after you get hit. This one does synergize with Carefree Melody, so if you want extra invincibility frames from that, you can do that. It also synergizes really well with Quick Focus. If you've got both of these on, you essentially get a free heal every time you get hit without being able to be punished through your invincibility frames. It's an okay charm otherwise. I don't really see a use for it except for maybe if you're fighting Absolute Radiance, because then you could stay in her face longer on those annoying platform phases. Obviously, it has no use in a Radiant fight because you just don't want to get hit anyways. I'm gonna say it's low B tier. Next up, we have Thorns of Agony. I don't know why. Listen, I'm about to eviscerate this charm. I ranked it so low in my shorts, my tier list shorts. And some people were saying I'm so wrong about it or have personal beef with it. It's bad. Let me explain to you why it's bad. This is a 1-notch charm that whenever you get hit, will freeze you temporarily and shoot out vines across the screen. The vines deal 1 times nail damage per hit, and you generate no soul from enemies that they hit. Why do I have a problem with this? When the charm freezes you when you get hit, you lose some of your invincibility frames. So what that means is you might not be able to get hit and then move out of the way from the next thing that's about to hit you. A lot of times with this charm on, you will get hit and then get hit again before having the chance to move your character properly. So you are actively hurting yourself by putting this on. You are nerfing your ability to avoid more damage. Additionally, why would I put on Thorns of Agony and reduce my invincibility frames for 1 times nail damage and no soul generation when I could put on the Goat Quick Slash, take my invincibility frames and do 2 nail hits, generate soul twice, 1 nail hit, no soul, 2 nail hits, 2 nail swings worth of soul. Why would I ever use this? F tier. Let's move on. I think I covered it. Flukenest. In the current patch, this is a 3-notch charm. This charm's cost has changed quite a bit. It's a 3-notch charm that replaces your Shade Soul spell. That's your Fireball, in case you don't know the terminology. There's your Fireball being replaced, and in exchange, you spit out little baby flukes. The flukes have less range. They don't pass through walls. They don't do the double hits that the Fireball can do. They do, on current patch, have a weird wonky thing with lingering hitboxes where they can do a ton of damage that make it like an S tier charm, but I don't know how to do those glitches. I don't know how the hitboxes work. I don't know how to abuse those wonky hitboxes. Without those wonky hitboxes, this is like a D tier charm. I will balance it out in the middle. I think it's a B tier then. Oh, let's talk numbers. I have notes. The maximum damage this fluke version of the Fireball spell can do is 64 or 80 if you happen to have the Shaman Stone equipped. Now, if you have Shaman Stone, you are 6 notches deep in that combo. Whereas if you are just using Shaman Stone and the base Fireball, your Fireball is going from 30 up to 40 with Shaman Stone. A Fireball double hit does 80. So for 3 notches, you could get the 80 damage that the 6-notch Flukenest Shaman Stone combo is doing with just Shaman Stone. Shaman Stone Fireball. A double hit will do more. So again, that's why I say it's D tier without the weird wonky hitbox glitch. S tier with it. Let's balance it out, okay? We'll call it a B tier. Where am I gonna place it though? I think right there. How's that? Grubberfly's Elegy. This is a 3-notch charm that while at full health, the knight's nail swings will also shoot out an energy beam. That beam does 50% of the knight's base nail damage, and the energy beams do receive a buff when you are wearing fragile or unbreakable strength. This is great for really experienced players that want to keep their distance, especially in a radiant fight that you don't want to take on right in the boss's face. It also has a synergy with Fury of the Fallen if you want. You put on Fury of the Fallen and Grubberflies will reactivate when Fury activates at 1 mask. And it also makes the beams deal even more damage. It does 67.5% nail damage with that synergy equipped once you hit the Fury range. So that's a ton of damage that you're dishing out with those beams. You can also offset the risk of this thing because it only activates when you're at full health without Fury of the Fallen. You can offset that a little bit with these Lifeblood charms or with the Lifeblood cocoons in the Pantheons. If you lose an extra Lifeblood mask, Joni's won't work because it has to be an extra Lifeblood mask. If you lose an extra Lifeblood mask, it won't count as not being at full health, so you can take those extra Lifeblood hits and still have the beams going off. So that's something that's going for it. Great in Radiant fights, it's extra damage. It's a great skill expression charm, I think. Like, if you can keep this activated all the time, you feel really legit. I don't think it's like meta or anything though. It's definitely an A tier though. Maybe like right here. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Dashmaster is a 2-notch charm that reduces the cooldown between your dashes and also grants you the ability to dash downward. The cooldown on the base dash is reduced by 33% and it does not affect the Shade Cloak cooldown whatsoever. I think this is a great exploration charm, but not a great combat charm. I've never been in a fight and got hit by something and went, man, I wish I could dash downward, and then I would have been able to dodge that one. I think the knight already has all the tools that they need in order to dodge what the game has to offer, and I never really need it for combat. It does have a synergy with Sharp Shadow to buff Sharp Shadow from a 1x nail hit up to a 1.5x nail hit, so that's something if you love Sharp Shadow. But other than that, it's not great for combat. It never really truly feels necessary. I think this is a C tier one. I don't know. It's not as good as Sprintmaster because Sprintmaster has... I was going to say Sprintmaster has a synergy, but so does this one. I think this is fine for now. We'll rearrange it if we need to. C tier. Sharp Shadow, the most divisive charm in Hollow Knight. Maybe second most next to Steady Body. Sharp Shadow... Where do I start with this one? It increases the distance that you shadow dash by 40%, and when you pass through enemies, you will deal 1x nail damage to them. Now, it does not affect your base dash, and what that means is your dashing can feel a little bit wonky if you're not used to it. Your shadow dash will get the 40% boost, and your regular dash will not. And it has that shadow dash cooldown, so sometimes you might be trying to do just a regular dash distance and you dash a little too far and bam, now you hit a spike or an enemy. So sometimes this charm can hurt you more than it helps you. But I know there are Sharp Shadow believers out there. You can pepper in a little bit of extra damage here and there with it by going through enemies. It can help you get through bigger enemies more easily, like the Traitor Lord and the Pure Vessel, so that's something. Personally, I think this should be a 1.5x or 2x nail damage charm, especially at a 2-notch cost. I would have loved if this was a 1-notch charm. I would have put it higher, but because it's 2 notches and doesn't generate any soul when you pass through the enemies, I think it's just okay. It has its pros, it has its cons. I'm going to throw it in high C tier, maybe low B tier, high C tier for now. I'm sorry. Next up on the chopping block, the 2-notch Soul Catcher. While equipped, your nail hits will generate an extra 3 soul per hit, which is a worse notch to soul ratio than Soul Eater will offer you, which we'll get to in just a second. It's something, you know? If you got 2 notches and you're like, I don't know what to put on there, it's fine. It's something. But it's not as good as the other 2-notch soul-related charm on the list, on the tier list, in my opinion, which reduces the cost of your spells by 9. So reducing an entire spell by 9 means you can dish out 4 spells rapid fire from a full set. I'm tweaking. With Spell Twister, you can dish out 4 rapid fire spells in a row, which you can't do with Soul Catcher. Which means you could like spam 4 Descending Darks in Abzrad's face on the platform phase and be totally safe. Whereas with Soul Catcher, you're only gonna get 3. I think Spell Twister has a better I think Spellcatcher is a better bang for your buck if you've only got 2 notches and don't know what to do with it, whereas Soulcatcher is just okay. Now, some people might argue, yeah, but Spell Twister doesn't help you with healing and Soulcatcher does, and that's fair. I think this is a C tier charm. It's not a bad charm, but Spell Twister is way better in my opinion. I'm gonna put it like here, I think. There for now. C tier. Soul Eater is a 4-notch charm. It will drastically increase your soul gain with every hit. Let's check the numbers. Every hit will generate an extra 8 soul per hit. That is a ton of soul. You are never going to be yearning for soul when you have this thing on. The main downside of this charm is the heavy notch cost. But if you're doing a Radiant fight and you overcharm with this thing on your last notch slot, that is the way to go. This is the best overcharming charm to use in my opinion. But outside of overcharming for Radiant, it's a little hard to slot in a build because of how expensive it is in my opinion. But the effect is so good. I think this is like an A tier, maybe around here. Really good, really strong effect, especially if you're overcharming. If you're overcharming, it's S tier. If you're not overcharming, A tier. Spell Twister, we touched on this one a little bit. This is a 2-notch charm that decreases the cost to cast a spell from 33 all the way down to 24. Which does allow you from a full soul meter to rapid fire 4 spells instead of 3. This is going to increase your DPS. This is going to have you have more leftover soul. Like if you need some leftover for a heal, you're more likely to have some leftover after throwing a fireball or something. You're just going to be more soul conscious and soul savvy whenever you have this on. And I think it fits well into high level builds. I brought this thing against Absolute Radiance and it was a game changer for me once I started using it. Being able to do 4 descending darks in her face on that annoying platform phase. It's a fantastic charm. It has great utility. My whole order is getting mixed up. This is an A tier charm. I love this charm. Fantastic choice. Ooh, we're in the home stretch now, aren't we? Oh, we all know this one. Shaman Stone needs no introduction. This will be short. Let's put it in S tier already. I'm gonna start. It's S tier. This is a 3-notch charm that significantly increases the damage of all your spells and increases the size of your fireball spell. Let's check the numbers. Shade Soul's damage is increased by 33%, Descending Dark's damage is increased by 47%, and Abyss Shriek's damage is increased by 50% while this is on. This charm is amazing early game, mid game, and late game. You can buy it from Salubra like so early in the game, and she sells it for what? 220 geo. She sells an Infinity Stone for 220 geo. This is one of the best charms in the game, easily a top 3 charm. One of the best DPS charms out there. Double fireball hits with this thing on feel disgusting. Up spells into Absolute Radiance feel disgusting. You are going to obliterate any enemy in Hollowness with this on, no matter what point of the game you're in. Easy S tier. Easiest S tier in my life. We go from that to Defender's Crest, which is a 1-notch charm that causes a stinky, damaging cloud to spawn around the night. It does have some interactions with NPCs, but this is not like an exploration ranking. I gotta say it again, it's a combat ranking. It also has some charm synergies, but unfortunately, in my opinion, they're all terrible. The stink cloud is very small and won't be doing much until you're already in the enemy's face. And it kind of trails behind you anyway, so it's never going to hit anything in front of you. You kind of have to lead them into it, and it's pitiful amount of damage, man. It does have a niche use case against like Broken Vessel and what's it called, Lost Kin. Since those balloon ghost things that he spawns only have 1 HP, your Defender's Crest can essentially make you against those ghosts, and you never need to worry about them because they won't ever reach you. The poopy stinky cloud will get them instead. But if the poopy stinky cloud is getting those, you will have less soul because you're not hitting those yourself. So a little bit of a trade-off there. It does have a niche use if you don't want to worry about those, but I think this is like a D tier charm. D for dung tier. Nailmaster's Glory. This is a 1-notch charm that reduces the charge time of your nail arts by 44%. Now, we talked about Dream Wielder earlier and how the Dream Nail can feel clunky. Nail arts can feel clunky. It's one of the main things I hear from new players. I don't use nail arts. They take too long. They feel weird. Put this charm on, bro. Nail arts come out lightning fast. Ton of DPS. Burst damage. You hate Primal Aspids. You hate Primal Aspids, don't you? Charge up a Great Slash with this thing on and you are going to one-shot the Primal Aspid. I don't want to hear you complain about Primal Aspids. If you complain about Primal Aspids in my comments section, you are not using a Great Slash on them. You are not using Nailmaster's Glory against them. I do not have a problem with them because I obliterate them with this charm. This is an A tier charm. It's 1 notch. It's inexpensive. It makes your moveset more fluid, more quicker, and helps you put out a ton of damage. A tier. Maybe here. Maybe higher. I don't know. Fits into a lot of builds. Hang on. Maybe something like that. We'll see. Spore Shroom is a 1-notch charm that while the knight focuses to heal, creates a damaging kind of AoE of spores that will damage any enemies that happen to walk into it. It's not exceptional, but it's some extra damage here and there, and for a low charm cost. You can also like make the spore field gymongous if you use deep focus with it, but don't use deep focus. It has to compete with higher tier 1-notch charms like Nailmaster's Glory, Grubsong, and Dream Wielder for that last notch slot, so it's not always worth it, but it's some extra damage here and there. It's cheap, it's inoffensive. I think it's like a low B tier. You know, for mobile and flying bosses, it's probably not going to hit them at all with the spores, but it keeps some enemies off you, like those ghosts we talked about for Lost Kin, for example. Just some extra chip damage here and there, doesn't hurt. Fragile and Unbreakable Strength. I won't edge you on the S tiers. This is another S tier, chat. This is a 3-notch charm that will increase the damage that your nail hits do by 50%. There's no drawbacks, there's no downsides, it makes your swing slower. It's 50% bonus damage with the nail. It is a raw 50% DPS boost with your nail. Unga bunga, nail go burr, swing real hard, hit stick good, combos real good with quick slash and Nailmaster's Glory, and kill things good, and put this on all the time. It's really good. Oh, don't forget Steady Body. It goes good with Steady Body. You put on Fragile Strength, you put on Quick Slash, you put on Steady Body, and you melt the world with your nail. S tier. Okay, hello. If the aspect ratio changed between those charms, I'm so sorry. I have been having the worst technical difficulties. I record these on my Steam Deck currently. I don't have a dedicated PC setup at the moment. The monitor was flashing on and off. My camera kept freezing. My mic kept saying it wasn't plugged in. Turns out it was just loosely plugged in, the whole docking station. So I didn't plug it in good enough. I was tweaking out. I read the Heavy Blow stuff like 9 times. Heavy Blow is a 2-notch charm. I memorized this information by now. The first time I was making a joke that I didn't know anything because I never know this charm. It is aptly named because this charm blows heavily. That's the 9th time I've made this joke. It will increase the knockback of regular enemies that you hit with your nail by 75% and also causes bosses capable of a stagger to take 1 less hit in order to reach that stagger. This charm sucks, man. It's 2 notches. It should be 1 notch at best. You're pushing the enemies away from you further, which means you have to chase them down more before you can hit them again. And it doesn't do anything against bosses that can't be moved, so they're not getting that knockback. And not all bosses can stagger, so it's not even a good against all bosses. This is a D tier charm. Do not use this one, it's bad. Next up, we have Fury of the Fallen, which is a 2-notch charm, which will increase the player's nail damage by 75% while they are at 1 mask. That is an insane damage boost that does stack with strength. So if you are skilled enough to survive long enough on just 1 mask, you are going to be putting out tons of damage and stuff is going to be melting. It also has that Grubberfly's Elegy synergy to reactivate Grubberflies at 1 mask, so that's just another bonus for it. It does have a restriction though, so you know, if you don't like playing at 1 mask or you're not good playing at 1 mask, you're not going to get any use out of this charm. Because of that restriction, I can't put it in S tier. The damage percent on its own is an S tier effect. But without that, I think it's an A tier charm. Maybe around here somewhere. Kingsoul, 5-notch charm. This is a 5-notch charm that automatically generates 4 soul every 2 seconds. 5 notches is expensive. You're not putting this on any build unless you are overcharming. And most people won't even have it anymore because they trade it for the Void Heart. It's a slow effect for a lot of notches. The only case use you can make for it is if you don't turn it into Void Heart and you want to use it in the Hall of Gods Radiant fights and like keep your distance, let the soul passively farm up. Other than that, it's not good. This is a D tier charm. We have some duplicates on this tier list. I don't know if you noticed, so I've been getting a little bit confused about which ones are duplicates and which ones are not. Hang on. There's 3 duplicates. The rest we haven't done yet. Okay, the almighty Quick Slash, a 3-notch charm. Everyone knows this one, just like Shaman Stone. This 3-notch charm decreases the time between the knight's nail swings by 39%. This is nail go burr. Your damage is going to go up, the amount of hits you're getting off. Your soul generation is going to go up because you're getting off more hits. You're generating soul more quickly. You're going to have more soul for spells more quickly, more soul for healing more quickly. You're going to be killing things more quickly. It synergizes with strength because you're just going to be swinging faster and stronger. This is the only charm that increases your DPS and your soul generation at the same time. I mean, maybe you could say that about Spell Twist or something, but it's not on the same level, not even close. This might be the best charm in the game. Might be. It's easily top 3. I think I'm going to give it to Shaman Stone though, just to edge it out a little bit, just because of how the damage scaling works as you're playing through the game. But Quick Slash, absurdly good. I'm going to put it like that. You want this on all the time. Quick Slash also synergizes incredibly well with our next charm, Steady Body, the 1-notch charm Steady Body. While Steady Body is equipped, your horizontal knockback from hitting enemies is negated. You don't have that anymore. Now, at first, I thought this was just kind of a crutch to help you with spacing if you didn't like being pushed back from hitting enemies, like a beginner crutch type charm. Boy, was I wrong, because do all the Pantheon and boss speedruns use this thing. When you put on Steady Body and Strength and Quick Slash, the knight is transformed into a harbinger of death. They will chase everything to the ends of the earth and mow them down. This is one of the best charms in the game. It's incredibly cheap and it fits onto a ton of builds. It's great for nail go burr. It's an S tier. I think not as good as like Quick Slash and Shaman Stone are, but incredible nevertheless. Well, all we have left is a few dupes, which we won't be doing, and these last 3. We have Greed, we have Void Heart, and we have Wayward Compass. Memes aside, Wayward Compass doesn't do anything for combat. Void Heart doesn't do anything for combat either, but you can get the true ending without Void Heart. Have you ever seen anyone get the true ending and not have Void Heart on? I didn't think so. I guess technically you could argue it's S tier. It's a 0-notch charm as well. You have no choice but to equip it once you've unlocked it. It's a 0-notch charm. It's the only 0-notch charm in the game. No other charm can do that. I guess you could argue it's S tier. It really goes in like a separate tier. Okay. So, memes aside, these are just for exploration. These aren't really going to do anything for you. You could put this in F or S, depending on your preference and how you see things. But, I mean, maybe I could even... Hang on. There we go. So, if you want to get technical, you could put these down here in their own separate tier because they don't buff or hinder your combat in any way. And... I mean, this one technically could be non-combat or S tier, depending how you look at it. I'm going to leave it like this for now. I think I'll do a couple quick arrangements, double checks. Let's take a look. I think I like Dream Shield better than Heavy Blow. That's just me though. I think that about does it for our Hollow Knight Charms tier list. I thank you guys so much for watching if you made it this far. It's been really tough to make this, a ton of technical difficulties. It's been a long time coming, especially since I started the shorts ranking. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me. Since starting that Hollow Knight Shorts ranking, my channel has blown up more than I have imagined. We passed 1,000 subscribers at the tail end of 2024, and we just passed 1,500 subscribers at the time of recording this. I am so incredibly grateful that 1,500 people out there would subscribe to my channel. Little peek behind the curtain, I'm currently working 2 jobs, so it's very hard to fit in content at the moment, and I'm not monetized. So until I have enough watch time to monetize, I think I'm going to be continuing working 2 jobs, which makes it very hard. If I can get back down to 1 job, I would be super grateful and would have a lot more time to start making more content again. Hopefully I can get a dedicated PC set up again soon as well, and that would allow me to just make a lot more content for you guys. I had so many ideas, but enough of the sappy stuff. Thank you so much for watching if you made it that far. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the charms on the list here, what you think overall, and see you in the next one. Bye.